Yeah. All right. One Piece chapter 1008. Here with my boy DBZ on the channel for the second time. What's up, DBZ?
Up, everybody? DBZ here, Hunter x Hunter fanboy and all around good guy.
Hey, that's you. But yeah. So, what do you think about chapter 1008?
That was a solid chapter. Um, Nothing too good, nothing too bad. Just a solid One Piece chapter. This is like a solid 6 out of 7, 6 or 7. I mean, I didn't
That's
really have anything that bothered me too much. I didn't have anything that really stood out to me. Like, oh, this is amazing. It was just a solid chapter.
mm. It's kind of funny how you call a six solid because I kind of agree with that, but it's just like the different perceptions. Like some people be like six. You thought it was a two. Some people be like six. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point of having a 10 scale if you don't use it?
Yeah, no, I
People
feel you.
only want the eights or
100%.
nines or yeah, or
Well, like
ones and twos.
someone's like 7 or 8 would be like my five. Like five is average. It's decent. But yeah, I mean, my thoughts. A lot of it I thought was either not that interesting, and this goes back to like personal investment in a lot of these storylines, and a lot of it I just thought like was executed weirdly. But well, like I'm glad we're gonna get to the rooftop next chapter at least, hopefully. And some of these things,
That's what I was excited about.
even though I personally didn't care about it, I feel like it's probably better for the story, I guess, like Orochi being alive, shit like that. But overall, I just feel like there's a lot of small issues with the chapter that it's just very jarring to read overall. But yeah, we'll get into that. So, start at the beginning. Fucking Odin. Would you think about
By the
just
way,
go ahead?
I was gonna say, by the way, I like the cover of Robin shrouding a Pegasus.
Yeah. The covers is weird because I would like look at them for like half a second, barely pay attention, and then I'll immediately forget about them. Like if you were to ask me like 3 seconds later, like what was the cover, I'll be like, shit, I forgot.
It's cool. I like looking at them because like the cover story, the recent one was really bad with Capone. But besides that, I really like the unique ways that Oda comes up with these covers.
Nah, I feel you. But yeah, what'd you think about the Odin fucking reveal? I guess
So,
if you even want to call it that.
me, I really love it, only because I love how evil Conjuro is, and this is like such a scumbag move to pull. Just like the trick like these loyal followers who love this man with and they would die for this man, and then just start stab them in the back and blow them up is like such an evil ploy that I just can't help but applaud. I just love it because it makes him even more of a scumbag.
In general, I mean, yeah, I like it. I like his trolling. I think my favorite part of his trolling was when he first revealed it. I forgot how it's executed exactly, but yeah, like some trollish way to it. Like he's like, what was it again? He was like, Conjure, like, I mean, evil? You goddamn right I'm evil, or like some bullshit like that. I probably, got it completely
Yeah,
wrong, but it was something funny.
yeah, it
But
was such a huge 180. He went from this idiot to this ruthless evil tyrant. It's like amazing.
see, yeah, I like that in general. My only thing is regarding that, it's the way it was built up. Like, for instance, he had that whole, he was a nobody pretty much, like no meaning to life whatsoever. So him just having a role was something to him, and he held on to that. I just feel like that trope in general, it's kind of overused, and it's not something I really fuck with because if you're gonna write something like a betrayal, that's like supposedly such a monumental thing, and like I know people debate on how big the betrayal was supposed to be, but if you introduce something like that into the story, you would ideally want it to be like a well thought out motivation for the person. You know what I mean? And like
I
the way
see
it
what
was
you mean.
handled is like a one size fits all. Like you can apply this to so many scenarios. I was hoping for something more unique. It does like it is a bit more than that because Kanjo is kind of like the playmaker, so it like fits in with his personality. So it's a bit more than like completely generic. But I still feel like that in itself, like it could have been handled better. And then on top of that, like you go from someone who's just trying to fulfill his role, trying to be useful to someone who like takes pleasure in just being sadistic towards Odin. Like I don't really get where that comes in.
That just goes to show how good of an actor he is.
Wait, I don't.
To
It's
be
not.
hiding that much sadistic tendencies.
No, I'm just saying like
Like,
where did he get these sadistic tendencies? Like I thought at the beginning it was just he's just trying to fulfill his role, be useful to Orochi, but it seems like he takes genuine pleasure in just being a fucking asshole. I'm just like, where did this come from?
Uh, well, if the lore goes that he and the rest of the Korozumis were subject of like immense persecution, and maybe that hatred comes from that, and he just loves to see people hurt. Maybe that's why, because he spent like years just like literally attacking people and cutting off their hair and then selling it off as brushes. Like this is a man who's unhinged even before we realized that he was this crazy guy, you know?
Yeah. To me, it just didn't seem like he was exactly in line with Orochi's thoughts and beliefs. I don't know. I would have to reread because I'm just like vaguely remembering shit like the generalities and shit like that. But the way it seemed like to me, it's he just had no character at all. Like he was just someone that was completely lost, didn't have any beliefs or anything. He was just wandering around, and then Orochi found him, and that was basically his character at that point. He just liked to be, useful to someone. But like I could see like you can obviously make a reason where he was a Kurozomi and his people were hunted, and obviously you can put two and two together why that could make someone fucking sadistic and shit. But I just feel like it could have been handled better.
Like for the purpose of the story, it was handled okay. It doesn't really have to be that. He doesn't really. I didn't feel like he needed to go that in depth with it, but because I'm loving it currently. But I see what you mean. Definitely wouldn't hurt to add more depth to that.
Yeah, it would just make it more intriguing. I mean, it doesn't. The point of it doesn't have to be that you care about Kanjo's character and you can just like remark on the insanity of it. But I feel like a lot
Yeah,
more would be added if you cared about Kanjo's character on top of that.
yeah, of course, definitely. Uh, where to next?
Well, I still want to talk about this actually, and
Okay,
just
go ahead.
just wait a second because Devil Egg said he's down to join, but I'm not sure if he means right now. So we'll see what's up with that. But my thing on this is, and I already told you that I wasn't really invested in the Odin plotline. So
Yeah.
a lot of people were kind of saying like, well, if Odin's actually alive, then that kind of ruins the whole like flashback, Odin's sacrifice, all the build up, like the whole theme of the arc where it's you know trying to make amends and like trying to bounce yourself back up from such a terrible situation and like get revenge, avenge, all that shit. And I just wasn't invested in that, so I was like, that doesn't really bother me. It's just my thing about this is if you're gonna introduce Odin, and you can't have the stance where it's something so monumental, but that adds to the troll, kind of like with the 60G reveal, where it was like the Hecky thing, like the cliffhanger. It's like, oh, who's the last 60G? And you're like, well, if you're gonna make it a cliffhanger, you're gonna make it that big of a deal, then it has to be a big deal in the next chapter. But it just ended up, being a troll. And on one hand, you can argue that adds to the troll. On the other hand, you can argue that you got baited and it wasn't really worth it overall. For me, I kind of steer towards the latter where I'm like, if you're going to go make that a cliffhanger and you're going to make it seem like it's a big deal, it doesn't have to be a big deal in a sense where it's a big deal because Owen's alive, but make it a big deal in some way. Like, for example, people are talking about Katarina Devon and they're like, oh, it doesn't make sense for this or that. And I'm like, well, yeah, it seems pretty convenient, but Oda could probably like find some justification for it. And I would like that because, all right, it doesn't seem like a big deal at first, and then Odin's there, and then Katarina Devon, and you're like, shit. Well, I thought at first it was just gonna be a fake out, and it wasn't gonna matter. It was just gonna be a troll. But now that Katarina Devon's here, it actually is a big deal, but not in the way you thought of, because now the Blackbeard pirates are here, and now the entire dynamic of the arc changes. And it's debatable whether that's a good thing or not with the whole Blackbeard pirates being there, but I thought at least make something big out of this. That was what I would ideally want. And I guess you can kind of argue that may be the case with Ajra. He kind of debatably died, if you want to call it that. But
Actually did die, then that's huge.
yeah, that's pretty wild if he did die. I don't think anyone believes he did. But we'll see. But yeah, what do you think about that whole dynamic of just the bait and shit? Do you think just the troll at the end was worth it? Or would you want something more out of it?
I get it. As an author, you're always supposed to make page turners, they call it. Especially when you're like, I don't know if last chapter was the end of the volume. Like towards the end of the volume, Oda always does this huge cliffhanger. Like remember back in Whole Cake, he did the whole like, oh, the Sunday is getting destroyed, right? And then that was a whole red herring. It wasn't actually getting destroyed. That was at the end of a volume. So he always does these end of volume fake outs. So I wasn't surprised by that. Um, as far as like the expectations for it, some people had like huge like weird expectations. Some people were saying it was Tama's Tanuki pot. I was like, what the heck are you talking about?
Tanuki
But
pot.
yeah. Remember, Tama had this Tanuki pot that it was like a pot that ate a devil fruit, and the people were saying, "Oh, that can shapeshift, and that's Odin." I was like, "What? How does that make any sense?" But regardless, and I was wondering like how much of this like the expectations and people expecting it to be something huge has to do with the break, and whether or not this would really become an issue if you go straight into 1008 from 1007. And I really don't think it would be that much of an issue. However, I can see why some people would be disappointed by that. But at this point, in my One Piece journey, like I already know that things like this is going to happen, especially when I read other stories. Like there's these kind of cliffhangers all the time. That doesn't mean it's good, and I'm not excusing it for it. But I'm just saying, like I expect it, so that's why it doesn't really bother me that much.
No, I feel you. I mean, if you read One Piece, you gotta expect fake outs in all sorts of ways.
Yeah,
But yeah, like you said, like I wouldn't. If someone was disappointed by it, obviously I would see where they're coming from. Me,
yeah,
I didn't care that much. I was just wait and see. Honestly,
yeah.
I'm down for whatever at this point. Anything to spice up the arc. As as fucked up as that may seem, like even if Odin came back, I wouldn't necessarily be like, "Fuck, man, I'm so angry." Like, I just kind of want to see something interesting. I know a lot of people would
That's
probably
the thing.
disagree with that.
Yeah, a lot of people would be like upset. Like I heard people saying that Odin should stay dead, but I was like, if Odin found an interesting way to bring him back, why wouldn't you want to see that? You know, that would be interesting. Like, what if like this was a whole part of the plan? Like Toki, we can get more backstory and avoid Sentry. There's all kinds of possibilities that could have made that incredibly interesting, but people already shut their mind off towards it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost there's so many different scenarios where if you write it well enough, then it could end up working out. Like if Odin comes back and he just has interesting interactions with all types of people, and he really elevates everyone's character. He makes the arc more exciting, makes it more unpredictable what's gonna happen. Like that is a net positive overall. Especially like I said, if you don't really care about the build up like up until now regarding the Odin stuff, then yeah, I mean that would
Yeah,
definitely be better.
or if like say Odin did something like there's a bullet in Odin's head and he just refuses to die and Toki sends him into the future so that he can say goodbye to the scabbards one last time before he died, and he probably does something huge one last time before he died. That would have been really cool. I can't complain about that.
Yeah, I mean it would be like a one-off heartfelt moment if it was executed
Yeah.
well. Something to make you care about the scabbards more. It would be
Yeah.
kind of funny, but yeah. And then
Just imagine that.
yeah, the bullet stuck in my head. I'm trying to think of like something related to that. I guess Shiki with the fucking wheel in his head. You know,
Oh yeah, that
it's not as dire, but you know the wheel's kind of still there.
was Shiki probably plays Bloodborne in it.
But yeah, so the scabbards after that, this kind of made the moment just very wacky in general. They just completely buy into it. And the funniest thing about this was like, I forgot who said it. I think it was Kinemon. He's like, but his mannerisms, like only us know him that well. And it's like, bro, you spend 5 seconds talking to Odin and you realize what his mannerisms are. Like, what do you mean? And then
I can see it. Like I can see what you mean. Like they they should be smarter than this, as Asher Doji pointed out. Like, hey, Toki already told us that this is impossible. His BS lies and all that stuff. But you can also see it from their point of view, where like for Kinemon example, this like Odin died only like 10 days ago, only like 30 like a month ago. Kinemon and Kiku. Like the rest, I completely understand what you're saying. Like they're kind of stupid for that. But like for Kinemon, this happened recently, and if he saw this, I can understand completely why he would like be convinced, because he just wants Odin back, and he lost him.
see, my only problem, honestly, is with Denjiro because he's supposed to be the more street savvy guy like Doji is. For everyone else, I mean, I'm fine with calling them idiots or like calling them way too emotional for this situation. But
Yeah.
Denjiro, like I expected him to at least be as savvy as Doji was. So seeing him there just like crying like, oh, didn't somehow I'm like, bruh, this is not a good look,
Well,
my guy.
in Denjiro's defense, he was a huge Odin fanboy, and he took his death harder than anybody else. So I can understand, like being the fanboy, you get blinded by certain things.
Mm, yeah, I mean, another part of it is like I say savvy, but it wasn't really shown in that way. But that's what Oda was portraying with his whole plan. Like it was like some master plan, quote unquote. And so he was like in a way maybe even supposed to be the smartest of the group. But I just
Oh
expected
yeah.
him to be on similar energy to Doji, just always on guard.
What do you mean? Kinemon's the smartest one in the group.
Oh yeah, yeah. How could I forget, man? How could I forget about that greatness? Speaking of that, I don't know if I told you this, but this is what I expected when Shin was going to meet Heki at the end of the invasion. Like it was like a cliffhanger, and he's like, "Oh, Heki," and then like it just moved on. But I thought the next chapter was gonna be Shin having like some type of Denjiro and Kinemon interaction, where it's like he sees Heki as like Denjiro sees Kinemon, and it's like this false thing where he's like, "Yo, you slayed the king,
Yo,
you Heki, bro." I thought
that would
that
have been
shit
so amazing.
that would have been funny, bro.
Uh, yeah,
That would have been funny.
that's funny just thinking about it.
Yeah,
That was a missed opportunity.
I'm surprised Hire didn't go for that, but I guess he just wanted to
Yeah.
move on. And then
Yeah, there's probably like parts that he's super excited to draw. So he's like, just to get this out the way.
yeah, and then fucking the fake Odin gets slashed. He seems pretty strong here. Like he was able to stab Doji like that, and he was able to contend with Denjiro. Like, is there something like some power scaling to what's his face's creations? Like if it's an Odin creation, it's way stronger than the others or something. I don't know. It's just kind of
I,
probably like no point in power scaling this interaction to be honest, but it's just
well,
something I
yeah,
noticed.
and it, off guard in One Piece, like if you can't get caught off guard in One Piece, is devastating. More so than like any other shonen. Like you can be like admiral level, you get caught off guard, you get like one shot, like what happened with Odin and Kaido. So I can understand why he got stabbed like that, but this also is a huge feat for Conjuro. His abilities are actually really strong. Like I didn't expect this when we were first introduced to him. Like he can do so much with his ability. It's actually pretty broken if you think about it.
Yeah, I will give him that. It's kind of funny how Kiku beat his ass considering that, but yeah. I mean, he probably should have pulled out the Odin clone while fighting Kiku if that's the case. You know, it would
Yeah,
probably came in pretty useful.
but how strong is Kiku when you think about it? Like she got destroyed by Kaido's attacks at Zoro and Killer, and then were easily dodging and deflecting. So I really don't know how strong she is.
Yeah, and Kiku fucking stabbed through Kaido's hand too, so the feat on Kiku's part. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting one. That's one that I often contemplate when I'm like looking at the tier list and just trying to add more tiers and shit. But yeah, Doji gets stabbed and he's like, I'm no different from you guys. I wish he was real. And this kind of goes to the whole Ashura Doji plotline where he he was like different at first, but then he found out he was actually similar to them. And what do you think about just Ashura Doji's character in general?
Liked him, especially when he resisted just coming to the Scabbards. I thought that was something very realistic and something relatable. Like, hey, I've been to hell for 20 years, and where have you guys been? Like that, I thought that was really interesting, and I do think that Oda kind of rushed it, where he like I can understand why Yasui's death would be devastating, but he did kind of like flip a switch, and he was like all buddy buddy with these guys. You would think it would take at least a while for him to get back to how things used to be, you know.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
I agree with
but
quite a
besi-
few of that.
but besides that, I really enjoyed his character, um, and I think he's a solid. I think he's one of the higher echelon scabbard as far as characters.
See, my thing with him is that at the beginning when he was fucking with that old lady, I was like, I like how Jardy is. This is pretty realistic, as you were saying. His whole fucking like dilemma with Kinemon, I just thought that was extremely gay, and those choice of words are very deliberate because it's just so weird, man. Especially as someone who, when all his soldiers were like going out to suicide to fight Kaido, and he's like, "Don't be emotional. The best way you can show how much you care is by like sticking to the mission at hand." And so, like, just that idea of stick to the mission at hand, that's the best way to deal with the situation, no matter what your emotional trauma is. And then here comes Kinemon, and he never disrespected what Ashura did in any way. I mean, he was kind of brushing it off to the side. He wasn't, like, making sure to, to try to like make him feel better. But exactly the point I was saying, sticking to the mission at hand. The best way to like make everyone feel better is to get the job done. So I wouldn't consider that disrespectful by Kinemon in any sense. And he was just like, you didn't apologize or whatever it was. Like I don't remember what the exact scenario was, but I'm just like, bro, like just like you, just like everyone else, he's just trying to do everything he can to win this battle and get revenge for everyone. Like, what's your problem with him? Why do you want him to apologize? Like, he's just trying to do anything he can. He's not trying to downplay your struggles. He's also had struggles. Everyone has, but he's just trying to do what he can. And then Kinemon apologized, and he's like, "Oh yeah, buddy, buddy, now all good," just like that, which made it feel even more fucking whack. And then on top of that, with his backstory, it's just so weird to me how he's someone that like really appreciated what Odin showed to him, like regarding the peace thing, like because he had the power to bring peace upon that village, but he didn't even want to, like not even in the slightest. He didn't even contemplate doing that at all. He just completely 100% enjoyed being a piece of shit. So I find it very jarring to go from that to, oh, Odin beat my ass, and I'm so appreciative of him showing me what peace is like. It's just weird for me for someone to be so appreciative of that when you're like so not interested in finding out what peace is like when you have the power to create it, to where you don't even try, like not even a little bit. You just revel in being a piece of shit. Like that's such a fucking 180 right there that I was like, damn. Like at that point, I just stopped caring about Ashura's character. I'm like, that shit got completely rushed. And if you ask some people like Apache, I was actually pretty excited for his character because I just thought the idea of just being a fucking a hooligan and having Odin like show you like the ways of honor and all that shit. I thought that was an interesting premise, but I just felt like it was so rushed that all the emotion of it went away. And then, but if you were to just look at that in a vacuum, like the premise that I talked about, this would be a moment that quote unquote hits because even now like he's just thinking about that difference and how he's actually one of them, even though he is the street smart guy, he's the roughed up guy, and that's why he was able to see why it was Conjuro like instantly. He's still at the end of the day like he learned
Yeah.
to be like everyone else, and then that was his downfall in a
Yeah.
way, but even then he didn't regret it and he went out like a G. So in that instance, like I could see why people will like the moment.
I argue that it's not too much of a 180 because like when he was leading the lawless Curry, and later on when he was leaving the thieves. Like you can argue that in both instances he was kind of nihilistic. He had no hope, and just he only knew how to live one way of life, especially after Odin died. But then Odin showed him a different way, and he really appreciated that way. He was like, I can do things differently. But then as soon as Odin died, and then all the rest of his men died when they attacked like 10 years ago, he just became very jaded, and he stopped caring, and that's why he fell back into his old ways because that's the only ways he knew. You know what I'm saying?
But what do you mean by nihilistic and having no hope? Because like I said, if he wants to create peace, he was by far the strongest guy there. He could have easily done it even on a whim just to see what it's like. So it shows
Like
that he had no interest at all, like even in the possibility,
you
even
talking
trying it out
before or after? Before or
before
after Odin died?
before he met with Odin.
Okay. So in that instance, I'm just saying that's the only life he knew. He didn't know another way. That's the only way I can rationalize.
Come on, man. Like he's a human being. He can think. Peace is an option. All of Wano is kind of peaceful, or we're the only like violent side. Like you can have thoughts about peace and how that's like. You know.
He's literally drinking the blood of a snake. I doubt those are the thoughts that are going through his mind.
That's exactly my point. He was so against it that, like, it's not that he didn't consider it. It's just like, fuck peace. I'm an evil piece of shit, and I like being an evil piece of shit. Fuck everyone.
Yeah. Then he saw another way. Hey.
Eh. If there was like, if there was more, like, for instance, if Doji was strong, right, but there were other strong warlords in Curry, and he could like possibly obtain the peace, but he would have to risk his life and his men's lives, and it was like a very risky thing. It wasn't guaranteed at all, so it was like on the back of his mind. But he's like, I'm not really gonna bother to risk everything for this because I don't care that much. I kind of like my lifestyle. Like it's an intriguing prospect, but I'm not about to risk everything for something I'm not even sure I'm 100% on board with. That I would think it's a lot more realistic to jump from that to Odin, like, oh, you showed me peace. I'm so grateful. You know what I mean?
I'm not arguing it's not rushed or anything. Just trying to like play devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, I feel you. It's just, yeah, I don't like I don't like Doji because of that. But this moment was kind of cool. I won't even front. It's just,
It will elevate it if he actually does die. I think it would make this scene a lot better.
That's kind of troll though. I mean, he was already injured and he did get stabbed through the chest, but Pell surviving these nukes out here, but Doji can't.
I get it. I know. The will of P, but I'm just saying, like, because Oda doesn't do this that often. If he actually does die, I don't think he's dead. But if he actually does, I think that elevates this.
Hold on, so Devil Egg wants to join. Do you want to join my
Okay.
server? This is where I do the VC shit.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, yeah. I'm gonna exit this and I'm gonna go to my server VC. Alright. Where was I? Okay, yeah, pretty much towards the end of this moment.
Yo.
Yeah, you see the chat. I'm just like, hey, you guys want to talk about the One Piece chapter? And Drake was just like, fuck One Piece.
Oh, what happened?
Just my chat. Fucking Draco doesn't want to talk about One Piece.
Yeah, Draco is a hater now.
I think he was for a while. But yeah, what's up, Devil? Like, what do you think about the chapter?
Chapters, it's a chapter. It's kind of what I think about it.
I feel you. I mean,
I don't feel overly negative about it. I don't really love it though.
I feel like another way of explaining what you say and like really putting emphasis on it is the only thing I liked about this chapter was Inu's retort to Jack, and that's like one small off moment in the grand scheme of the entire chapter.
Hey, bro, that retort was
They're going back to
amazing.
the rooftop.
Yeah, going back to the rooftop. I'm excited for next chapter. But that retort was kind of spicy.
It
He
was.
was like, hey, bro, I don't know what I don't see any poison gas here either, bro. I was like, okay.
All right, okay. I mean, you got a point.
I don't know
yeah.
why they don't have poison gas, but I mean, it's pretty funny.
Queen
Queen
hogging
took
it
it
all. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so where were we? We were talking about Doji. Pretty much finished
Yeah, we
talking
just got
about him.
finished talking about Doji. What's the next part you want to talk about? Is it Kanjuro going after Momo?
Do you want to talk about Doji Double Egg, or you want to just move on with this?
I mean, it's a thing that happened. He might be dead. He might not be.
Do you think he is?
You know what? Yeah, sure, he's dead. Yeah, stabbed twice.
Conviction. I like that conviction in your voice.
He got stabbed twice. He had the dynamite. The dynamite was strong enough to kill a character before. So why not?
Well, it depends on how strong the character is. Pedro was weak compared to Perospero.
Sure.
See, weren't you also the person that predicted it was going to be Odin? So yeah, I might have to say he's not dead based on that.
I was just being a contrarian. I mean,
you
came
in there.
Odin.
Yeah,
I was like, it's actually Odin.
You came in there and you're like, well, it's the obvious answer, guys. Everyone's saying it's not Odin, but what if it's Odin?
I mean, like, I feel more satisfied because like the way they ended last week or 2 weeks ago off was like, wow, Odin's back, and I'm like, well, it's either like a disappointing fake out or it's actually Odin. I'd prefer it to be actually Odin, but it wasn't.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that.
I can't fault you for that.
But yeah, so Kanjuro going after Momo. To be honest, I completely forgot that was a thing. Is that what he said?
He said he's gonna kill Momo. There's no way he should stand a chance against Yamato, but I honestly think that Sanji's just gonna finish him off.
Well, I think Sanji's probably gonna, help Marco with Queen, as much as I hate to admit it. So, I don't know what's gonna happen there.
That's possible. But why would he go there?
Got it covered.
Yeah, that's all you need.
The reindeer slap of justice.
Better attack potency feat than anything Sanji has.
You know what? That's kind of true.
Yep, Sanji couldn't hurt page 1, and Chopper making Queen bleed. I mean, love to see it.
Oh man, Oda's awesome.
He is.
Technically, Monster Point is supposed to be super strong though. He did lose to homies, but we don't talk about that.
Hey man, it's not that he couldn't break through the homies; they just kept regenerating. He ran out of gas, man. That's his one weakness. No stamina.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
Yep. But Jack shows up, and this might be the weirdest part of the whole chapter. He's like, I gotta stall y'all. And then he just stood there while everyone was running away, and Ino was like, I'm gonna hold you back. And the other weird thing is like the scabbards, they could all just like, low diff him. Like 8v1 or 9v1, whatever it is. But they just, no, we're just gonna 1v1 instead. Because they had like some random like aha moment, like, oh yeah, shit, Momonosuke's a thing. Fuck, we gotta go after him.
My thing is like this is it's an anime thing where it's like, okay, well, one-on-one fights, we all gotta leave even though we can jump you. The same thing happened with page 1. They could have easily just jumped page 1 and then they just Sanji's like, leave him to me. It's like
that is
I was like, okay.
That is
it's like jump his ass.
Hey man, it would take a whole 10 seconds to beat Jack, and that's 10 seconds they can't afford to waste, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what if Momo dies? I don't have any justifications. I don't have any justifications, but I mean, like, it's just an anime thing, so it's a one-on-one fight.
Do you guys think it's going to be shown?
Ito versus Jack?
Yep.
If it is shown, it's only going to be like in a panel like they've been doing with like Jinbei and Uso. We still haven't seen that fight, which is mind-boggling. And that's one of the most interesting ones.
Yeah. See, my thing about this fight is, I mean, you kind of have to show it after you give Ino that raw of a line, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always thought Jack would beat Ino, but after this, I'm like, well, damn, you can't just say something that raw and then lose. You kind of have to fucking solo him now. Like, you made your bed, now you got to sleep in it. You got to be that guy.
Jack beat Ino when he had a leg. Now he has a sword for a leg. There's no chance.
Hey, man, that's one more sword than he had before.
Yeah.
His kicks weren't doing anything. Now he could slash.
We don't have 12 hours for him to waste here, though. So you better do it quickly.
Yeah. That's
Orochi's alive.
True. What was that?
Orochi's alive.
Oh, yeah, Orochi.
How do you guys feel about that?
It's ugly-ass motherfucker. See, I don't like Orochi. I feel like Orochi was done pretty badly. But I feel like it only makes sense for him to be alive because there's unresolved plot points. And, just Momo, Orochi interactions, Hiyori, Orochi interactions. Like, it makes sense. This is what I was talking about. I'm like, I don't know if I would prefer this, but it's probably better this way. So, yeah.
I have a problem with this. The one biggest problem I have is Fukurokuju. Fukurokuju?
Fukurokuju, yeah, Fukurokuju.
Yeah. Conehead. He instantly switched from like the Kozuki clan to the Kurozumi clan without no issue, right? And you had to assume it's because Orochi had all the power or whatever, right? But as soon as Kaido was like chops off Orochi's head and the rest of his men join Kaido, he decides to remain loyal to Orochi, and I can't understand why.
I mean, it was shown in the chapter, DBZ. Orochi has his hidden trap card of setting the place on fire. Nothing Kaido can do about that. Like Orochi said, and I quote, "Roast to death. There's no escaping up here in the sky. Now go to hell. I'll make him pay. I'm going to slaughter everyone." I think Kaido counts as everyone, so yeah, he's fucked.
Can't survive the making the castle fly.
I mean, what is making an island float compared to setting things on fire? You know what I'm saying? Everyone's just kind of fucked.
I guess it will make the skull fall down, and like as we know, like when Whole Cake Chateau fell, not many people can survive a huge fall. I guess.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, Orochi was always like portrayed as the guy that's not super confident. He's always like scared of everything, and now he's like, well, I don't have Kaido anymore. All my forces are pretty much dead. Well, now I'm the most confident I've ever been. Let's go. Let's do this. And I'm like, I don't know where this is coming from.
Like, I just can't. I can't understand why Fukuroku. I can't say his name. Conehead would switch sides. Would stay by his side.
I think he's more of a dickhead than a conehead.
Yeah, I can see the resemblance.
But yeah, I'm not sure why either. Maybe. Well, actually, I can't understand in some sense because he's kind of useless with Kaido. So he's like, well, if Kaido's willing to kill Orochi, I do one thing and you might just kill me too. Like, I have to be on my A game and like kind of be in the background. Like, you never know what could happen. But with Orochi, he kind of respects me more, especially if I do this for him, and it'll just be a more secure path if he's the one that wins. But that's a huge if right there, and fucking setting the place on fire ain't gonna achieve that. So yeah, I don't know.
How is he gonna get off the island?
Who knows? And the fact that the island is like kind of close to the capital is making things interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So move on to fucking Momonosuke. And what was it? Some like
He has
sensing
more
ability
control
here?
of his fruit. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say sensing ability. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, he has a unique sensing ability, and he has more mastery of his fruit, which is interesting
Yeah.
because it was deemed a failure. I'm wondering if Vegapunk just said that to the government to troll them, and it actually was a success.
I've been saying this for a while. The reason it's a failure, the reason it's a failure is because he's pink, not azure, like the fruit says it's supposed to be.
Ah, that makes sense.
It's a genius. But regarding this whole Momo plotline, I mean, I like the whole he won't like go against his name. He's gonna say he's a fucking part of Odin's family. The Kuzoku. What was the name again?
Kazuki.
Kuzoku. Yeah. That's how much I care about the plotline. It pretty much shows it. But yeah, like there's that aspect of it I like, but I feel like there could have been more build up for his character in general, especially in regards to Zoro. Especially with people saying like this is gonna be his arc, he's gonna get more focus, and that was just like a prime example of Zoro can show Momo how to be more manly, have like some conversations or whatever, and that just didn't happen. So I feel like there could have been more gradual build up to this, but it's obvious that it's gonna lead to some like big moment, and he's either gonna be powerful or he's something like probably not gonna be that powerful. I mean, I think he's gonna go fight Orochi, probably beat his ass with Kinemon or something. But yeah,
He's probably gonna lift the island and save the people of Wano
With
dragon
DBZ.
devil fruit.
lift an island, huh?
Yes, I think that's gonna happen. Prepare yourselves.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's nonsensical, but it's not exactly like controlling Zunisha at the same time. It's more of his own power at that point.
Yeah, because Yamato said, and I quote, "Dragons have the ability to lift things up with flame clouds." And so Momonosuke has technically the same ability as Kaido, so he should be able to do exactly the same things that Kaido does.
Yeah, I mean, if he has like some boost or something out of nowhere, then I guess that's such a wild scale though. I don't know. That would be kind of funny.
Wait, so last chapter, Momonosuke flew away, right?
He just flew out of her boobs for a second. And that was it.
You're kind of staticky, Doozy.
Am I still now?
It's better. Talk again.
How about now?
Yeah, you good.
Oh, you're way better.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, he was always, in her clothes. I thought he would be resting in her boobs. It's classic Momonosuke, but apparently he's fine with staying at the back.
Like I could have sworn he flew out because he was like, I had to be useful somehow, and he was like gonna fly out and do something on his own. At least that's what I thought was happening.
Yeah, I think that was just an embarrassing moment for him or something.
Because he just felt like he was being useless inside the clothes. So does that mean like he turned into an eel? It was like, you know what? Let me just get back in there.
Just get back in those clothes. But yeah, enough of the Momonosuke stuff. You go to the rooftop. You see the boys there. Fucking kids rocking some harpoon guns. He figured out sharp objects are strong, and that's a secret weapon. And
you ever watch Attack on Titan?
No.
Those do
look like the
Thunder
Thunder Spears.
Oh man. Let's go get them in the Navy.
If those are Thunder Spears, Kaido's fucked.
I guess. Yeah, I still haven't watched it. I probably won't watch it.
It seems like Luffy took an attack from either Kaido or Big Mom. I don't know who. But does that prove that his durability has increased even more?
I mean, yeah, if you want to say it like that. I kind of feel like it's not so much a durability increase, like as in Oda's thinking of it that way, more like just inconsistency. And Kaido's attack is just not strong enough to one-shot him. His durability is like kind of the same. But yeah, I mean, he can tank Kaido hits now. That's apparently a thing. That's kind of wild.
All the supernovas took damage though.
Yeah, it seems like Zoro took one to the face. That's pretty fucking insane if he tanked that.
Yeah.
Please, Zoro probably tripped over a rock or something.
Hey,
And how do you
man.
guys feel about Kaido's design? Hybrid.
It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, I like his original design, the human one, the most. I like the tail part of it. I mean,
I don't feel like this was worth hiding it in silhouette for like 5 chapters ago. It's like he should just fulfilled the design then.
Honestly,
It
I
would have
think
been
it's
fine.
fine. I think Oda is very hit or miss when it comes to like hybrid forms. Some of them look straight up goofy, other ones look really cool. So I think this is just fine. Like it's not too goofy, it's not too
I just
cool,
wish
it's
his
just
face
okay.
was more. I wish his face was more dragonish.
Yeah, I agree.
That's pretty much it.
I think this particular one looks kind of weird because his torso and stomach is like so wide and his arms look disproportionately small in comparison. So it kind of throws the whole thing
Kaido
off.
always looks like that.
Does he? I never got that. I never got that before. Let me like look at a random pic on him. His arms like always look fucking huge to me.
His legs don't look like tiny sticks anymore, so I'm happy.
It's true. I
Bro,
remember
Oda would
that one
draw
panel.
Kaido's legs. I'm like, bro, please stop.
Like look at this pic. His arms are fucking packing, boy. Arm looking kind of skinny in the fucking hybrid form.
The anime is really consistent. We're talking about the manga.
All right, let me pull a pic from the manga then. All right, you ready for this? Arms are fucking packing, boy. Look at those guns. You kidding me?
They're still disproportionate though to his body,
Hey,
I mean,
still.
his arms are tiny when he's in dragon form, so I think that's
especially
decent.
his head. His head is way too small for that body.
Yeah, it's kind of just the torso in general. Like, shrink that up a bit, and the whole thing will look a lot better.
Yeah.
I think that like, yeah, I think that makes it look kind of memeish. Like, it just looks like off. Like, almost makes him look like a bad action figure in a sense.
When it comes to size and stuff like that, Oda is always very inconsistent. Like in this panel, you can see that Kaido and Big Mom look like they're around the same size, but in the first silhouette chapter, Kaido looked huge compared to Big Mom. It's just inconsistent, you know.
I mean, yeah, when the first time Kaido was shown, he looked like he was like what 40 feet tall, and
Yeah.
then, and then yeah, he was pretty much like around Big Mom size for the rest of the manga. So yeah, I'm just waiting to see what his hybrid form looks like in other chapters. Maybe I'll like it more with different panels and shit like that. Probably be the case.
And maybe Oda will change it because I know he changed page one's design.
Yeah, this is just a level 1 of his hybrid form. Oda saving it, saving the true hybrid form. You know what I'm saying? The awakened hybrid form.
Did
Oda only
Lucci have
changed
two?
the.
Didn't Lucci have two?
He had two hybrid forms, didn't he? It's possible.
No, he had the life return nonsense that made him skinnier.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Devil. Like, what do you think about the way Gear Forward was handled here? Because it kind of seemed like you didn't have to bring back the time limit if you were just gonna make it irrelevant because you just skip past it.
I mean, the reason I don't like Gear 4 is because of the time limit. So, I mean, if they're just going to ignore it, I'm fine with that.
No, I feel you, but it's like this was the chance, and especially with the way Oda was quote unquote building shit up with like he used Gear 4 against that ship, he was fine, and he was willing to use it against the number. Like people were already assuming that the time limit was gone, and then since Luffy trained, it's like that's the justification, and so this was his opportunity to just get rid of it, but he chose to keep it, and then chose to make it being there irrelevant. So it's just a kind of very questionable decision. I mean,
I feel like the way it works is if he like stays in Gear 4 for too long, that's when the time limit shows up. But if he just goes in and out at random, I think he can save up enough hockey to not poof out.
I don't get it. I thought like after the Rio training, he would like find a way to like flow his hockey better so that he can stay in Gear 4 longer. But I guess that's not the case. I don't know what Oda's doing with it or how he plans to make that go away because it should go away because Gear 4 is a huge power up and that should Luffy earned it at this point.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I
all
thought
these other people get power ups for free. Luffy has to work for his, man.
I know, right?
Oda hates Luffy. But yeah, I mean, it is impressive from the Supernova's part with nerfed Luffy to survive these 10 minutes. That's very impressive, to be honest. Against Hybrid Kaido, and Big Mom.
I think it's impressive for all the Supernova, to be honest. I didn't think Killer was this strong.
I didn't think it was this strong either, especially after he got one shot by Zoro.
Yeah.
Listen, bro. This is nonsense, but I mean, it's cool.
Zoro the
It's
god,
that power
the
creep,
GOAT.
baby.
Power creep. Yeah, it's pretty much what it is.
Power creep Zoro in 5. There's no stopping it.
Rooftop
ZKK.
Zoro.
Rooftop Zoro, let's get it. But yeah, that was very impressive. Really liking the feed Zoro's getting. Deny him longer, motherfuckers. But the whole like splitting them up thing, I'm not really sure what the point of that is. I would think like having a numbers advantage, you would try to attack people at the same time, like get them next to each other and try to make use of it and make it as hectic as possible. But I guess they're gonna split them up. I don't have to see how that's executed, but it's not really that. The problem is that they can't fucking hurt them for some reason, and even that, like Zoro's basic attacks are hurting Kaido and like giving like at least like decent sized cuts. But now it seems like they can't hurt them at all. So I don't know. Is everything inconsistent here? Like what's going on?
See, Kybrid has better
Form is
durability.
tougher. Yeah. His hybrid form is tougher. And as for Big Mom, we've never really seen her get damage from any attacks at all, actually. Besides the Mother Caramel thing.
So you think Big Mom's durability is higher than human Kaido and Dragon Kaido's durability?
From what we've seen, yeah.
Yeah, she took Zeus straight to her own face and she was still fine.
Yeah.
Zeus is trash though. Fucking Orochi survived Zeus. Tanked that shit like a G.
Did he? Oh, yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, but that was like a Nami regular attack. This was like the Zeus Breeze Temple that left a hole in the floor like Tien did the triangle beam.
Tri-beam.
Yeah.
And what about Prometheus? Attacks Reiju, does nothing,
Fireproof raid suit.
Yeah, it doesn't cover every inch of her body. Come on now.
The raid suit.
Scantily clad fireproof raid suit. It's highly
Some
effective.
bullshit.
But yeah, like from the previous fights that we've seen on the rooftop, it looks like they're only hitting Kaido for some reason. But every time they're about to do more damage to Kaido, Big Mom interferes. So I'm guessing that's what they mean by split them up. Make it so that they both can't help each other so it can be easier on them, I guess. If that's the case, I want like Luffy and Zoro versus Kaido and like the rest can handle Big Mom.
See, I mean, I think it would like if we're just assuming that the fight's going how it went before it was skipped over, I think attacking, at the same time would be a pretty good plan. Maybe not just watch one guy or like two people attack and then wait for them to get fucked up and then attack after.
Like so far it's been like a turn-based RPG where they each take turns.
Pretty much, yeah.
Great analogy. Perfect analogy.
I think, that plan might be pretty good. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the way it's set up, it's seeming like everyone's going to have a massive hockey boost or something like that. Some new level of hockey. Like, something has to happen.
At some point, Hawkins is going to come and he's going to buff them with the
I
cards.
feel like Law is going to cheat with Big Mom. And then they're all going to work together to beat Kaido.
Oh, that's a possibility, too. He can just, like, transfer her somewhere else. Maybe he's creating a room, like, to the moon or something.
To the moon.
Yo, where's Jinbei? Just having fucking sumo flipper off the island.
Yeah, like so many people have moved Big Mom out of the way, and I think they can just do this. Like Zoro's gonna cut Prometheus, like she's gonna fall off the roof.
Like their secret plan. All right, if you actually try to fight with her seriously, she's a beast. But if you just try to throw her or do like weird shit that should never work, she just becomes horribly incompetent. So just throw her out.
That's what we did.
Throw her in the trash.
She's super strong, but throws super weak. It's super effective.
Super weakness. But yeah, I mean Zoro hasn't even used Ashura yet, and he's like he's making it seem like they all did everything they could. So is Ashura like something he can't like use whenever he wants, or whatever's the case there?
I'm starting to think that Ashura is just not a thing.
I mean, honestly, that's what people want to believe, but it's coming. Like it's very weird.
Like, why hasn't he used it? He only used it like 2 times, all of pre-time skip, and only once after Enies Lobby, and then afterwards he just never used it. It's been like 15 years.
Yeah, it's definitely weird and pretty wild when you word it like that. 15 years, that's kind of a long time.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I can understand why people start to doubt.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the whole never lost the fire in your eyes? pretty much the
I mean,
same
if
thing
Luffy,
as
has he ever given up?
yeah. But do you think there's gonna be more conversation about this? Like it's gonna be used as a way to delve into, the Conqueror's Hockey, the Will of a King, shit like that.
I hope it transitions to Kaido's flashback because we have to get that right at some point.
Yeah, it could
And
in
we can
some
see-
way because like it's probably gonna remind him of Roger or Garp or people of that ilk. Like that,
I hope
that
it
could be one
reminds him
way
of
of going
Rocks.
about it. Yeah, like
I wanna know-
that's
I wanna
what
know
I
more
meant.
about
Like it's
Rocks.
gonna transition back to Rocks. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not even just like Luffy because Kid seems pretty excited too. It doesn't seem like he's beaten, though. He isn't as optimistic as Luffy, who is like always maintains this mindset of always thinking he's gonna win. But yeah, in that panel, Kid kind of seems like he's of the same ilk, while Zoro and Law, they're kind of like more grounded, more realistic. Like, fuck, we gotta think of something. Not necessarily giving up, but they're not like Luffy, that's for sure. And it's an interesting dynamic. Like I said, I hope it delves into something interesting. I think it should, since this is the second time it's been mentioned. But we will see. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty much everything I have to say about the chapter. Hopefully we go back to Roof Piece.
Give it a solid 6 out of 10. I enjoyed it.
I gave it a solid, it's funny, I was just thinking there's no poisonous gas either out of 10.
That's
Uh,
huge.
Any number I give would be complete nonsense because I don't really know anything about my number scale. I would just say a number. So it's a 7 out of 10.
Alright. Sick. But yeah, I mean, I hope next week, if it's not the rooftop, then we get to some sort of fighting. Like, can
Yeah, I
we
was
see Jinbei
just gonna
versus
say that, like-
who's who or something?
All the matchups are pretty much set except for Sanji's or whatever. I just want to see some fighting like start to play out.
Yeah, and even with Sanji, like, we all know he's
Favorite
fighting Bobbin, so let's just get on with it.
Bobbin, back from the dead.
Round 2, Hell in the Cell.
I
For all
didn't
the
forget you, man.
marbles.
Kicking me in
None
my
of us did.
face.
None of us did. But yeah, with that, I'll put an end to the video. Peace.
Peace out.
Love you guys.
Hey.